Mr. Reddit Man presents. Teachers of Reddit, what are some wholesome experiences with online learning? I get to meet all my students' pets. And my students got to meet my cat. Yesterday, one of my autistic kiddos said, "Wait, I have a surprise." Right before we ended a lesson, he came back carrying a cat. I said, you do not have a cat. And he said, "I know. That's the surprise." Still have no idea where the cat came from, but we laughed nonetheless. I teach physics. I love the fact that I have been able to really know some of my students as people, see their pets, talk about their siblings doing homework next to them, see them joke with their families, etc. Watch some students blossom under this model. The shy girl that never talks in class, super confident online, the kid with messy writing, or that never takes notes, makes nice infographics of the class materials and shares with the class. I teach middle school. I'm always available by email, but once a week, I use our school's conferencing tool to review material and directly answer questions like virtual office hours. I have a couple of classes where no one shows up, and that's fine. I do not require it. One day, I had over half of one class show up. We reviewed the lesson, and I said that if they did not have questions, they could leave. A few minutes went by, and they were all just working away in near silence. I reminded them they could leave. Someone does. I know, but I miss being in class, and this is as close as I can get. Many of them felt isolated and were extremely bored. I left the chat up for the rest of the allotted time to let them catch up and work on other homework together. They really miss each other. I really hope we're able to go back in the fall. I miss them, and am supposed to have that group again next year. College professor here. I'm still waiting. This is so hard. It's all I do now other than eat and sleep, and sometimes cannot even do that, and everyone seems miserable. My students are all kinds of dissatisfied. Some want to be able to do things on their own time. They want recordings, practice problems, etc., and cannot be bothered to show up to classes during designated times. Others demand video classes and for things to be like they were before. It's hard for me to have video classes or record demos/lectures because we live in a tiny apartment and I have very little privacy. This is much more stressful than I would have expected. I'm changing the syllabus every week to keep up with the demands of the students who cannot make the old deadlines, and because I cannot cover the same material the same way, my family is being neglected, and they are miserable. I haven't not been able to get to any of my research and my collaborators are annoyed. I guess everyone is on edge these days anyway, but this definitely feels like a lose-lose-lose situation. I feel like everyone is mad at me, including myself. Sorry, I guess really just needed to vent. Same. Only my students are being kinder. They understand we're all suffering because of this. Hang in there. What do you teach? At least one of my students is on here, so I will be vague. It's computational. If you're my CS professor, you're doing amazing. I expected this quarter to be a complete waste of time, but I'm shocked at how much I have learned. It's been an extremely bumpy ride, but your job isn't not to be everything to everyone. It's to give us the opportunity to learn some material. So do not own every owns malarkey. Some malarkey just has to go UN-owned. I would also suggest being slightly more honest with your students about what's going on. People are way more understanding and empathetic than we tend to think. I'm a psychology student, and I think it is awesome to hear a teaching person's opinion about all this. I personally am too dissatisfied with online classes, but I know that it is not like the professor can do something about it. So I have the mentality to be thankful for every effort. I try to do my best and they do too. But honestly, I'm real scared of the semester because I need good grades in my exams so that I later on can sign up for a Master of Science. But the teaching staff has similar problems and worries, I guess. It is just a malarkey situation and we will have to stick together. Somehow, we will make it, I guess. Hope. About 10 years ago I taught early online classes at a university. There was no FaceTime component, so you just communicated in chat rooms or through email. A kid emailed me that he was gonna be late handing in his assignment cause a family member died. I just responded in a human way, said sorry, told him not to worry, and handed in when ready, etc. Talked a little bit about the family member. I cannot remember who now, which feels malarkey, but it was long ago. Anyways, did not feel like anything special, just like what you should do. But at the final exam, which they did have to show up for in person, the kid came up to me after I'd never seen him before, handed his paper in, and then gave me the biggest bear hug ever, then told me it meant a lot that we talked then. It made me cry. Not a teacher, a student. We have private law online sessions with 2 teachers at the same time. One of them is very funny. This really small Turkish guy who is hyperactive and tells tons of stories. So we were on the subjects of contract, and he was telling stories about his car that he sold while knowing it had defects, but hiding it from the buyer. During the session he told more stories like this about himself to give examples of reasons why you can break a contract. When suddenly the other teacher, a very serious and strict older woman, goes, "Mr. Owner, you do realize this is being recorded and will be put online for the entire course to watch? You're here telling us about all the illegal things you did." And he goes like, wait, this is all hypothetical. My internet connection is real bad. Guys, gotta go. And he actually logs off, and the other teacher just bursts out laughing. She cannot stop laughing and turns off her audio, but we can see her half falling off her chair from laughing because her camera is still on. They ended the session after that, both still laughing, and it was honestly really cute and made my day. Damn it, like a teacher to teach me illegal things. We had teacher in high school who, instead of what we should learn, was telling us what his experiences with drugs was. Him talking heavy stuff, not mild ones. His conclusion was stick to the somewhat natural stuff. When the troublemakers say they miss coming to school and seeing friends, I get the feels. If they like me, they are troublemakers because their home life is malarkey. I'm a student, but I have got a few. Some wholesome, some not. My social studies teacher always introduces us to her cat and sometimes her kids during every lesson. My science teacher accidentally turned on a hot dog filter and took 5 minutes to turn it off. I joined a Google Meet once with like 30 kids in it, and we were wondering why the teacher was muted with video off, and right as the teacher turned on the camera, we all heard like, porn. The teacher was watching porn. One of my tutors, during online tutoring, spent the entire time watching TikTok instead of helping me with my math homework. Yesterday one of my students showed up to our online class wearing his uniform. It was so precious. I teach history at a community college. Most people who take history do not actually care about it, but some are engaged. When I give lectures, I try to relate history to real-world examples people might face in 2020 to comprehend the material better. I have had numerous students, some who were good when we were in class and others who were not as engaged, leave comments about missing going to class and that my explanations of events help them understand things better. If anything, online classes have made me realize that I can assign readings and give PowerPoints, but a lot of meaningful comprehension comes with how I explain things. I have only been teaching a year, but it's nice to think in doing something right. Couple of things that made me smile. I accidentally started up one class half hour early as the timings are different on Friday. One of the older kids I have, aged 11, logged in anyway and proceeded to show me his rock collection. His 2 cats and the comic had been working on, but for the entire half hour until the class really started. Very sweet. Secondly, my colleague who works in kindergarten told us about one kid aged 3. His parents left him alone for a while and whilst on camera, he just went and hid in a cupboard and shut the door for the remainder of the video. FB post talking about the students getting ready and excited to tell me about their toys. I teach ESL, and usually for the first 5-10 minutes my students get to choose what they want to talk about, and we just ask questions about it, like a show and tell kind of thing. I have one student who is quite advanced, but gives me basic words for her to go over. Then before the lesson I get sent pictures of their latest family outing and we just go over that and maybe discuss one of the words she already knows. Many of the young students do not have a chance to talk about what interests them, and it's a great feeling to see them light up and tell you about their days, their interests in things from astronomy, mythology, robots, and then give them a lesson tailored, expand and all that. Oh, odd experience today. A good student mentioned experiencing insomnia, and it took about 5 questions for me to ask the most important question. Oh, what time does the sun go down for you? It does not. They live north of the Arctic Circle. I teach adult ESL, and one of my students in a previous class, my students change frequently, had a funny way of saying oops when he made a mistake. It was cute, especially because has a big bear of a man, and this high-pitched, jolly oops just sounded so odd coming from him, in a completely non-mocking way. The other students picked it up and started doing it, too. By the time that class ended, everybody would create a chorus of oops anytime someone messed up an answer or had the wrong grammar, and then we would all laugh, and the student who messed up would quickly correct it, or the others would all help. It was actually very friendly and helpful. I miss that group. My mom's a second grade teacher. One kid had a bucket on his head during a Zoom meeting. Mom told him to take it off. Show and tell. Featuring pets. My dog Jack is actually a celebrity among them. My mom created a student account with his name to make sure the accounts are functioning properly, and now her students would not let her delete it. Jack is now a permanent student of her class. Fetch quests. A game mom plays during one-on-one meetings. She asks the kid to find the smallest pillow in their house or find the nearest red object. Some of her students are actually trying their hardest to get their assignments done. If they have trouble figuring out a math problem, their parents will text my mom, and then my mom will hold a phone call with them to work out the problem. The kids really miss one another. They'll ask things like, "How's Nat Haley doing?" or "Have you talked to Mark this week? Tell him I said hi." HS math teacher here. Not being able to see my kids every day has been really tough, especially knowing what some of them go through in their home lives. But one student emailed all of her teachers and told us this: "Let us remember one book, one pen, one child and one teacher can change the world. Learn from yesterday, live for today, hope for tomorrow. The important thing is not to stop questioning." I hope you guys are staying home safe and washing your hands and staying home with your families and being healthy. This student has struggled in math and is a language learner, but she has been working so hard and asking many questions so that she can learn the material. This student's perseverance and attitude have given me some hope for the coming weeks. I teach college classes. When the colleges were closing, I anticipated what sometimes extreme loneliness people would start to feel pretty soon. So I opened up a mostly anything goes forum. Just like what people used in the 2000s. The extremely kind words and open discussions have been very heartwarming. People have been very supportive and seem to like the structure the class adds to their lives. Also, am very proud that most of my students have managed to adapt, even with many of their part-time jobs becoming all-day jobs. It's made the crazy amount of work worth it. I'm on maternity leave, but yesterday I joined my first graders at the end of their session with a long-term sub. They were so happy to see me and baby. I even had a few parents want to see us. It was really nice to see them and how excited they were. It'll be starting back in a week, so it was nice to have a way to ease back in. You have made it until the end of this video. Now listen here, and listen here closely. Like and subscribe for more videos by me, Mr. Edit Man. Thanks for watching.